What's up, dedicated Dragon Ball denizens? I'm Ryan, and we're here for another episode of the Hawks Dragon Ball Nest. And we're going to get into doing Frieza week into week 2. Last week we did Frieza's army. This week we are going to go into the clan deck in Starter Frieza for SB02. I think it's still a viable way of playing the deck. I prefer it a little bit more. I think, to be honest, Frieza's army maybe the better route is the better route, unless you're going up against some 25k leaders or Vegito. But I like this. So anyway, let's get into it. All right, and I decided to go with the old school Frieza leader for this one. Last week we did the actual manga one. Anyway, we know what Frieza does. When attacking, draw a card, awakening at 4 or less, and then on backside, it's going to still draw a card, and end of turn, choose 2 of your rest mode battle cards, switch them back to active mode. Pretty cool. All right, so what do we got here? So now, because of that, Frieza's ability here, and I think I went, obviously this one's Frieza Clan. It does have Frieza's army too, so I guess I could potentially use it. But anyway, I think the way that I'm building this deck works really well, because I'm really focused on getting a lot of times the Meta-Cooler out there, restanding in energy. And what am I going to do with this energy? Usually I'm going to play out this guy, and it's just going to allow me to continue all cards. So I really like this. So Mecha Frieza Pod is back in this deck. Okay, then we went with the Frieza's, the basic one there. If you're playing Frieza, you're going to play with this one as a 4 of, and then of course Guldo. So since we have Frieza's army, obviously we can use this card. Just a great card. I'm playing at turn 1 a lot of times, even if their board is clear, just because I want to awaken as quickly as possible. Right. Then we went back, and a lot of it from here is almost every card is cards you're all familiar with from my list of like Cooler that I've been playing. So this one's a great turn 2 play. It's my favorite turn 2 play to just get out there, get that life. Now I've already, turn 1 I played Guldo, turn 2 King Cold, boom, I'm already getting well on my way, and I'm searching as well. A nice little 10k, and remember that we do want to keep a Frieza's clan on board if possible, so that turn 4 we could start smashing out our King Colds. All right, I went with 3 of this guy. It's kind of an emergency awakening, an emergency play this card late game with my chain. It's a good card, rest mode, 3 cost as well, so I'm running him at 3 of. Okay, and then we've got this guy. Obviously he's just a great card. I mean, against Broly and everyone, it's more matchup dependent. I think with maybe others, you want to play him in the chain. With maybe other lists, you might want to play him a little bit more. So I'm not going to play him a ton, to be quite honest, except against those matchups where I know that they're going to be able to just destroy my board, because I'm going to get more value out of playing a 3 cost, I mean a 4 cost, like either of the Meta-Coolers, Meta-Cooler, regular Cooler, but he's a nice 10k in hand, which really helps the deck. And then obviously don't forget, in fact, I'm saying this more for myself because I forget a lot, he does draw a card on play. So that does make it not bad when we're going for game. See what we draw into, and then he is at least, hopefully you draw a 5k, he turns into a 25. If you draw 10, he turns 30. And then obviously his, if your lead is Frieza, non-Frieza battle cards removed from a battle area by skill, switch this card to rest mode instead. So when you're really thinking about it, like especially if I'm playing Broly, or any green that I think they may play out the Broly, I love to play this guy out and unrest him along with this bad boy. I'm going to unrest at the end of the turn, because if they're going to wipe my board with Broly, guess what? This guy's a 1k, and Frieza doesn't protect himself, but so that way these cards stay in there, and then I protect the rest of them. Okay. Then I've got Cooler as a 2 of. I still like this card a lot, but it's a lot more risky to rely on blockers these days in terms of restanding. They just take him out, but great card to just KO a 2 cost on play. He's still a 30k 0 combo, and if you'll notice, I don't have a lot of zeros in this deck. We really only have this guy at 2 of, and then the King Cold at 4. And then, so I really didn't want to do this, but I added this Goku as a 2 of in the deck. He does help me out in a pinch. People have been on him for a while in the deck, and I finally kind of folded and saw the light he saved me a few times, because sometimes you just don't have all your pieces in hand to go for game, and Goku can buy you a turn by just stunning the board, couple cards on board, and you know, two are stunned, and then we can kind of mess around and see if we could get our parts and go for game the turn after. So I do play him as a 2 of. Obviously, I'm going to go with the 4 King Colds. I almost forgot I'm playing this guy as a 2 of as well. Just a good card out there too. I mean, he's an invincible card. Another really good one for board wipes if we don't want to rely on the 3 cost. This guy's at a 3 of. I actually really have found myself like not playing him that much. So maybe he's one we take out. I mean, honestly, I wouldn't be mad if you wanted to swap 2 for this guy. Maybe up someone else to 3 or 4. But we do want to remember that we want targets for our King Cold Mecha Frieza chain. So be careful if you want to bring him down, because I'll play him out, but it's not that often. Really, in this deck, I find that the Meta-Cooler just does really well in terms of stunning and pressuring my opponent so that I can just keep going face. Not as good as in Cooler, where we're going to be able to restand and stun too. But really good card. And then the fact, like I said, I love to just play him with this card, get an energy back, and then I'm getting in hand. And now they have to deal with this guy or not. And a lot of times still, opponents are forgetting to deal with this guy. And then I'm just drawing a card every turn. And not just drawing a card, I'm searching. I mean, I had a match yesterday where I had 3 of these guys on board, and they just kept trying to go either face, or they were trying to go for like bigger threats like the Meta-Cooler, bigger threats in quotation marks. And then I'm just out there. I went down to 1 card in hand, and I think it was like I don't remember what it was, but it wasn't something I could really play the next turn. I had 3 of these guys on board, so I searched each one, and I found a Mecha Frieza, I found a King Cold, and then I found a card to play with it, and then that was game. So really, really cool there. Obviously, then we've got the Mecha Frieza, and let's take a minute to admire like the art on these too. I think it's super cool. So I went with more manga focused arts on these. Remember, we are playing the Mecha Frieza, so we do want Cooler as the super combo. And then this card's the one I'm still not as sure about. I initially had Blue Power Awakening, but you know, when it comes down to it, the Blue Power Awakening wasn't doing a lot for me, because usually the only reason I'm playing it is to address the Gogetas, right? The Gogetas that come out and just nullify my leader ability. But when you think about somebody else, this wasn't my idea. Somebody else reminded me of this. Like, by then we're losing anyway. Like, it's a waste. It's a waste of space. We're going to eliminate him and whatever. So really, I think the final explosion at 2 of is kind of a happy medium, where sometimes your opponent's board is just getting a little bit too ridiculous, and we need to address it. So this one does help. You address those. It's going to rest them too. So especially against these swarmy like Ginyu and other Frieza's army decks, and make sure you rest the board, because sometimes they're going to strategically keep some of them alive so that you can't go into them. So the whole board's rested. 2 of them are taken out, and then we can go ahead and see what else we can deal with our leader swing and or whatever we had on board. So I think this is a good 2 of card. It is tempting, you know, if you want, I wouldn't be mad about maybe swapping and going up to 4 of these guys, maybe even going up to 4 of the Gokus. That's going to give you really good, really good combo power. So maybe rather than doing that, you just keep the pressure up, but that's up to you. Strategy, strengths, and weaknesses of the deck. Pretty straightforward. People are pretty familiar by now with the Frieza Swarm, one way or another. Awaken, Swarm, and then Profit, right? That's what we're doing here. The strengths of this deck, especially compared to if we're thinking about the Frieza's army, it has aggro, but a little bit of survivability in there, because we're able to do a little bit more tech in terms of stuns, in terms of our cards being a little bit higher cost, usually a base of 4, so that makes them tougher to remove. A little bit more of a toolbox where we can rest cards while still putting pressure. So it's nice. I like this. The weaknesses, it's funny because it is definitely a jack of all trades aggro deck. In it kind of looks so much less aggro compared to last set where, I was running Cooler and winning by turn 5. I mean, now we're seeing these Frieza's Army and Ginyu decks winning on turn 3 and 4 sometimes. Like, it is pretty crazy, but I don't know. I mean, I just like this. I just like this. So it means now we don't have the best aggro. It's kind of crazy. We don't have the best aggro. And we're kind of like in an in-between phase here, which is what I'm finding is like if you're sometimes our opponent, by the time they get to the turns where we're just ramping up, like they're ramping up even higher now. So they're kind of being able to remove our board and defend and draw. So this one takes time to ramp up. So it's not always doing the aggro that it wants to do, especially with like kind of Frieza's ability as it is. Just not as good as it used to be with unresting cards. Because there's just ways of just KOing those unrested, and then we're swarming, and then they're just going to swing into the ones that we did not unrest. So makes it tough, but I still think this is an above average tier deck. I think, I've been playing it in Plat a few matches. I actually promoted from Gold to Plat using this deck. And I've played a few more matches there. I've really been swapping between Gotenks and this, and even a little Green Vegeta. So I haven't played any one deck a ton. But I still think it's got some legs under it once you kind of get used to the matchups and the differences here. And some other cards to consider in the deck. And I think this is really like where I'm at is like tinkering. What I really thought I wanted to do was just add in the new cards, the Guldo and the Frieza, into the list that I had already had for Cooler, and that's not quite working. So I'm still having to tinker a little bit, especially knowing that like this isn't Cooler, this is Frieza, and there's a lot of differences in what they do with their leader ability on there. So I'm still kind of looking. One really good card is a 10k combo. Another one that just really is going to guarantee that awakening is obviously the 1 cost Frieza. It's going to be able to add 1 to hand, add 1 from add a life to hand, add a card from hand back to life. Obviously, you're going to use this one as just another option on really any turn where you still need to awaken. It's an interesting card. I mean, it is one to think about. Maybe even Final Explosion we replace with this one. I don't know, but I don't find myself super needing it. I've got a lot. If my turn 1 play, I really want Guldo, but then after that, we have a lot more options of two different of the 2-cost Friezas, the Guldos themselves. So we're usually okay, and we can awaken by turn 3. But it's one to think about there. Another one, it's always been in my mind for any of these Frieza Clan decks would be the Double Strike. I just don't know. I find myself that if I'm going to pay 5, I get a lot more value out of just swinging 3 times. But it is something to think about. It's just another 0 combo in hand, and I really like where I'm at with not having too many. Initially I said I had maybe 6. I have 8 0 combos. And the King Colds aren't extremely dead in hand because we're playing them out, turn 4 and from there. And if we get multiples in hands, like if I get 3 in hand, cool, I'm gonna charge it, but usually not. So anyway. All right, then we've got the Vegeta 3 cost that's going to protect your rested card. So kind of a different version of the Frieza. I think there's no reason really to play this one anymore with the Frieza in there, because he just fits the archetype a little bit better. The Frieza is now going to draw, and then he's going to protect up to the whole board. Whereas this guy, he protects them, but not that great, and he can really take away from pressure. I do like that he adds a life to hand. And then finally, another Vegeta-ish card is going to be the Blue Power Awakening. I talked about this one earlier. It was one I really thought about, like, if you're going to drag out battles, then this is going to be able to potentially win you a game. But is it? Is it really going to win a game? We really want to end things by the time that Gogeta gets out. He can get out as early as turn 5, obviously, but when it comes down to it, just lose your leader ability and continue to pressure. Let them swing into your board. It is honestly a lot better anyway, because if you're going to restand, sometimes they're just going to attack face, and they're attacking a 20k leader, whereas they're going to be attacking a 25k board. So I think I'd rather go for my board anyway. All right, well, that's going to do it for this episode of the Hawks Dragon Ball Nest. Hope you enjoyed this one. I really love the Frieza Clan, and I just have so much fun playing it, so I really would like to tinker further with this one. It was in consideration for NAS, but I just don't feel I can quite get what I need out of it, especially against Cell. But I think it's a good deck. I think it still can hang. I think if I do a little bit more tinkering with the list, we can maybe get there with the Frieza Clan. You know, the Frieza's army is nice, but I just hate the fact that I'm going to auto lose against Jiren. It's really the only thing, and you know, Jiren's still out there, man. Jiren is still out there. So I don't want to auto lose against them, and you got other issues too. You know, got the Piccolo superhero who can boost himself to 25k. I think even the Trunks has a card that does that. Red Trunks isn't there a card that boosts him to 25k too? But anyway, I don't know. But there's plenty more to come. Probably next week. I think I want to give you guys some updates on my Green Vegeta list. I did bring it to the Eggman tournament and tinkered with the list further after that. The list really wasn't ready to go. I kind of thought maybe it was, and I X'd out of the Eggman tournament. But I've tinkered with it a little bit more, and I think it's to a point where it can be competitive again. And you all know I love Green Vegeta, and a lot of you that watch do as well. So we'll go from there. We got Nationals coming up soon. I've got a Go Tanks deck I'm working on for that. I'll probably release maybe the week of or the week after. But if you like what you saw, hit that subscribe button. Become part of the Hawks Nest, a fearless flock of fabulous folks who love out here. I'm loving Fusion World. I'm excited for this fan list. This is being recorded before I know what it is. So I hope that when it comes out, it's actually going to do what we need it to do. But anyway, until then, we're going to see you all next time.